Hello everybody, a very good morning to everybody. Welcome you all to my channel for learning Java. In case you like my video, please do give a thumbs up. And for queries, please do post in the comment section. I'll try my best to answer as soon as possible. Thanks in advance. So let's get started with today's part. Yeah. So variables are a very important part in Java. So basically, what is a variable? It's a name of a reserved area allocated in memory. So in RAM, when we are consider this example, int data equals to 10 or 50. So this data is a variable which is getting stored in RAM. So it's like a reserved area in the RAM. So there are classification of these variables as local, instance, and static variables. So a local variable is the one which is inside the method, whose scope is inside the method. Once it is outside the method, you cannot access a local variable. It gives a compilation error. Instance variable is the one which is declared in the class but outside of the method. It's like the scope is for the class. And the same as for static variable, it's declared for the whole class. But the basic difference between the instance variable and the static variable is like instance variable is created one per object. Every object has its own copy of its instance variable. But static variable is one for the whole class. Like every object of the class shares the same static variable. I can show you this in an example. Consider this example. This is an instance variable and this is a static variable. Correct? So let's go with the instance variable first. So for this class, I'm creating an object D1 and then I'm storing this in the value val1 and I'm incrementing it and printing the output. And then I'm increasing the value by 1. And again, I'm creating another object D2 and same procedure repeats. But the thing is like this one is specific for every object. So even if I'm incrementing here, the value for the different other object will be again the same one which is instantiated here, that is 5. So now if I execute this program, the value for both I get 6. It doesn't change to 6 and 7. So let's try for the static variable. Here what I'm doing, same I'm doing, I'm creating an object, incrementing it, and then again I'm incrementing the static variable by 1. And I'm creating another object and same procedure I'm repeating. So how is the output getting printed? Then we'll analyze. Yeah. The first value is 11 and the second gets 12. Basically, why is the difference is because the static variable is the variable where it is getting shared with all the objects. So if I'm incrementing this value, the value gets incremented for the whole class. This is the difference between instance variable and static variable. So we'll go with the slide again. Yeah. There are various data types in Java. It's basically divided into primitive and non-primitive. What is primitive data type? It's the Boolean, numeric, character, integral, integer, floating point, and again it is subdivided into char, byte, short, int, long, float, double. And what is non-primitive is string, array, and so on and so forth. So when we are declaring any variable and we are giving like Boolean as the data type, so it will take by default size is 1 in the RAM. Same way, like for character, it takes 2 bytes. For byte, it will take 1 byte. And similar is listed here. What is for short, int, long, float, and double. Depending on the data type we are associating with the variable, that much amount is getting allocated for that variable in the RAM. Next, we'll come to control statements. There are various control statements: if, else, for, while, do, while, break, continue. So we'll go one by one with the example. First, we'll check with if else. What is if else block? It's like something which we are initializing here, that value it will check. Basic thing we have to learn here is like it will get into any one. If it enters the if, it will execute the if part. If it enters the else if, it will only execute the else if part and it will come out of the loop. So taking this example, we are initializing this age as 15. So here we are checking if condition. If this is true, then it will execute this part. If this is not true, it will check the next part. So if this part gets true, then it will print this is out. If nothing works out, then it will enter the else part. So as this age is 15, it won't come here and it will come here because it satisfies the criteria over here, and basically it should print age is less than 18. So we'll execute and we can see. So it prints age is less than 18. This is how the if else block works. One more thing over here, if can be empty, but else can never be empty. And else if has to come in between if and else. So, sorry, like anything can be empty, but we don't need it basically. So one more thing here, we can only execute if block without having a else if or a else. But these two cannot be there without a if. And if we are having only a if block, we need not necessarily have these brackets. Like consider this example. If age greater than 10, this way also we can execute. If we are executing, it gives us the output if there is only a if block. Okay, so we'll go for the next one, for. So in this, in the for example, it's like it's an iteration over here. Like I, it's an integer which is initialized to 1 till the condition satisfies where it is less than or equals to 10. The counter gets incremented by 1 every time. So when we are printing this I, it gets started with 1 and it prints till 10. So we can execute and we'll see. So this is how it's executing. The difference between print and println is it keeps printing in the next line. If we want everything to come in the same line, we just leave it with print of I, so everything gets printed in the same line. So this is all about for loop. Next we'll go for while. In the while loop, consider here we are initializing a variable to 1 and then we are checking the condition here. Like if 1 is less than or equals to 10, then only it enters inside the loop and then it gets incremented by 1. So it's like a boolean. If this is true, it enters this loop and it executes. So if this condition doesn't satisfy, it comes out of the loop. So it is 1. So 1, it keeps printing from 1 till 10 again here. Yeah. Same, like we have another is like do while. The difference between while and do while is in while, it first checks for the condition and then enters the loop. But in do while, it will first enter the loop do the execution once, and at the end it checks for the condition. If the condition satisfies, then it keeps continuing in the loop and it keeps printing and getting incremented by 1. But if the condition fails over here, it gets exit. But first time it will at least print once. But it's not the case in the while, because while here it will first check the condition and then it will enter inside the loop. So if we see the do while loop, here also we are initializing the variable as 1, and first here it will print variable value is 1 and it will get incremented by 1. So till the time it is less than or equals to 10, it keeps incrementing and printing the values. So if we execute this one, we are again getting the same output. Consider we'll give an example 11 here and we'll execute it. So it gets printed for the first time. Even though the condition didn't get satisfied over here, it got printed once over here, and then once it got incremented, it checked the condition here. So the condition didn't get satisfied, so it got exit from the loop. Next we'll go for break. Consider this example. In this public static, we are having a for loop. And here we are checking a condition like if I is equals to 5, that time it will break out of the loop. So once when the iteration starts over here, first time when the I is 1 and it satisfies the condition over here, it gets incremented by 1. Then it prints here the value as 1. So it keeps changing, and then once the value is equals to 5, then so once it reaches the value as 5, it will break out of the loop. So if we are checking here, the output basically should be starting from 1 till 4, because when it satisfies the condition over here as 5, it will break out of the loop. Let's execute. So you can see it prints from 1 to 4. We'll see continue. In continue, what will happen? The same thing follows over here. It will first initialize the value, checks the condition, executes the loop, and then increments it, and the same keeps continuing. So once it is 5, like I value is 5, that time it will continue. It won't go to this one to print the value. It will again go up above in the for loop and keep the iteration over here. So it will get printed from 1 till 4, and once it reaches 5, it says here continue. So it again goes back to the for loop, increments over here, and then it again keeps continuing till 10 and keeps printing the output. So if we execute over here, it comes from 1 to 4 and then again prints from 6 to 10. The last example is for the switch. So in switch, here it is like we are having initializing a number to 20. And the format of writing switch is switch, and then we'll give the value which we have initialized over here. So suppose it is 20, so it takes here 20, and it matches with every case. So if the case is 10, then it won't enter this block and won't execute. As we have kept here 20, it will go to this block, execute, print output as 20 and break out of the loop. If we are giving a value which is not there here, then by default it will go to this default and print this one. Consider, first we'll execute this. So basically it entered this case and printed this println statement. Consider we'll take this example as 200. So ideally it should enter this default and print this one. So it got printed over here. So this is about all the control statements: if, else, for, while, do while, break, continue, and the last one is switch. Coming to Java comments, comment section. Comment is a very important part in Java for the developers basically. When we are writing any code, we are basically supposed to give a comment over there so that it is understandable for any other person who sees the code. So when we are giving a single line comment, it's basically for the it's for one line. For multi-line comment, if it is like we are commenting a block, then it is for a multi-line comment. And documentation comment, which is out of the scope, basically it's more for the documentation comment, and it is more to create documentation APIs which we need to use Java doc tool. So it's out of the scope for now. So basically we go for the single line comment or else multi-line comments. So this is all about this tutorial 3. So if you like it, kindly give a thumbs up. In case of any doubts, queries or anything, please post in the comment section. I'll definitely answer back. Thank you so much. Bye.